Well, Patrick, my friend, you and your boys up in the front office, you had a nice laugh about this one. You needed to pull out all your usual tricks to beat the Lions at home. I get it. You're afraid. I'm not worried about this. I kind of felt like we were going to have to lose a game again at some point. I hate to quote Mike Valeni this early on after this game, but he said, "Relax, you're not going to go 16-1. You got a good team." With that being said, that was stupid. Fourth down, yes. St. Brown drops it. He never drops the ball. I'll give you that. But you can't go into Arrowhead, especially in the beginning of the season, when they're down 2-3, and expect that they're not going to pull out all the stops. I mean, their fans are just as passionate as our fans. They're not going to let them. They're not going to let them be let down. Let's just be honest with you. Like, Kansas City's a really good team still, and as long as Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid are there, they're going to always be a good team. So, with that being said, thank you for joining me on this late Sunday evening. And I don't know, kind of thought to myself at the beginning of the game, what are you going to do if and when they lose? And here we are. I look at this opportunity to really humble ourselves and say, okay, you're going to make adjustments. You're going to have to take a little bit more serious, right? When you're playing these big home teams or playing these big Super Bowl contending teams. Like, dude, if you're playing a team like the Bills, the Chiefs, and you're playing them when they're at home, dude, you got to be flawless. You have to be flawless. So I don't know. I'm not really too bummed out about this. I'm not really burned out about this one. I'm more so just kind of got to take our lickings in the public media. I guess it's not even that big of a deal. Michigan lost, the Lions lost, and the Tigers lost. So it was just a rough weekend for the city of Detroit when it comes to sports. But, hey, that happens. We're early on right now in the season. The way I look at it is at least we're not the Eagles, right? They're losing in weird ways. This one was where, I don't say we beat ourselves, but we did. We did beat ourselves on this one. We made sure that Kansas City had every opportunity to use the refs to their full advantage, right? Whether it was lining up in the neutral zone, whether it was the pass interference, to me, it's just, I don't know, who gives a shit? All I care about is Hermdo, and Hermdo's in the lobby.
Leave the gun. Take the cannoli.
Burning their jersey, saying the season's over, blaming Jared Goff, even though he put up great numbers, blaming the offensive coordinator for play calls. As Lions fans, is after early on in the season against Kansas City. Is that where we're at? Are we doing tantrums still? Is that still a thing? I'm not. Maybe Wayne, shout out to you. We're to see the bigger picture now with the NFL. On paper, that's just the kind of a game you're going to want to lose. I've gotten over this concept of winning every single game in the NFL. This isn't college football circa 10 years ago. You're building towards a bigger and better thing. And while we're battling out these injuries with our corners, and hopefully if you're watching, you subscribed to this by now. Energy's a little bit lower than normal. Understandable, though. Like I was saying, okay, back to here comes my boy Hermdo. He's in the lobby. I don't want to talk about a lot of this stuff because I know he's going to want to say some stuff too.
Hello?
Hello, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so I don't know what the hell that was. I apologize. The Lions stink. All the haters were right. The season is over. It was over after week 1. But yeah, this was a pretty evenly matched game. Similar time of possession. I think, Ravens had, I'm sorry, not Ravens. Chiefs had a few minutes more. Similar passing yards, similar rushing yards. A lot of the stats looked the same. They had a few more plays than we did. Their third down conversion was kind of the same. We had some penalties. We had 4 penalties for 38 yards. You'd think that wouldn't kill us, but it did, especially late in the fourth quarter.
And that was it. It was the timing of those penalties that pissed me off. And that's why it's one of those things where you're going to put on your conspiracy situation and go, like all the very few penalties we had for the very little yardage that we had it was all just perfectly timed where it needed to give the Chiefs that upper hand, and it did. But
Yeah, it
guess
did.
what? That's what you're going to get when you go to play there. That
Yeah,
you're always
exactly.
going to get that. You're going to get that
Exactly.
every time.
This it's just that, you know, the Chiefs are one of those teams. It's just like the Brady's Patriots, you know, it's just like
Yep.
they're always going to get the nods. They're always going to win those little battles. They're always going to get the positive outcomes and whatnot. They're just one of those teams that just always seems to slide their way through these situations. They're the romantic storyline. Everybody loves the Chiefs, you know,
Yep.
all that crap, you know. But we lived through it, you know, in the 2000s with Brady and whatnot. You know, we know what it is. They're the fairy tale storyline, you know, Taylor Swift and all that bullshit.
Team Pfizer. Yeah.
Yeah, Team Pfizer. It's just the same shit with Kelsey's decrepit ass out there. You know, I'm so sick of the goddamn Chiefs. And unfortunately we couldn't take care of business against them today. We just you know, we had some opportunities, but we just didn't take them. It was just one of those
That's it.
things. Yeah.
That's what it came down to, dude. Is this was a game where this wasn't a Lions team where we came out and we were bad or we were
Yeah.
flat or Goff was off, right? He had a passer rating of 118.
Yep.
This was a game where we just weren't on our A game, dude.
No.
And that's what's going to happen. And going to Kansas City, playing on the road early on in the season, corners are injured. They're going to get the full advantage of everything we just watched. Every little call, every little pass interference.
Yep.
We've watched Jared Goff literally get mule kicked in the mouth 40 minutes after he made a play and nothing happens, right?
Of course.
And Aiden Hutchinson shoves Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
And you see Patrick Mahomes going, "Are you kidding me?" And it's like, oh my God. And that's what's going to happen in these games.
It's
and we're not that team. And I don't even want to say that we'll ever be that team because as long as Brady was with the Patriots, as long as Mahomes is with Kansas City, that's what they're going to get. So it is what it is. I'm kind of already honestly ready to move on to Tampa because that's the game where I think it's an even playing field. I don't think anything's tipped in anyone's favor. Obviously, we're at home Monday night, but it's not one of those games where, you know, Josh Allen is coming into. Well, I want to be careful with that because Baker Mayfield is playing pretty comparable ball.
You know, Baker's on fire. You know, I think about that every time I see Baker make some amazing throw or scramble when the pocket collapses and just make some incredible throw downfield to one of his receivers. You know, I think about the Browns and whatnot, and I think about him on the Carolina Panthers too. You know, we thought he was going to be like a journeyman or something, but no. I mean, Baker Mayfield really been impressing the last few years. He handed the Lions a loss opening was that week 2 of 2024 or was that 2023? I don't remember. You know, it's just one of the teams, you know, Baker can beat you, man. He's a dynamic quarterback. You know, people were ready to give up on him, but he's having a real resurgence and people should take note of it. I mean, he's in a good system in Tampa Bay. They know how to use him. He's got weapons around him. He's got a good line. They know what they're doing with Baker Mayfield, and he's able to play up to his strengths. And he's a dangerous quarterback. He's a guy, you know, I'm kind of nervous about facing. Like I said before, I think one of our older streams a couple weeks ago, you know, this is going to be a tough stretch. You lost to the Chiefs. That sucks. The next 4 games are going to be tough. You're going against the Eagles. You're going against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You got to come out, you know, 3-2 or whatnot. You know, at least can you win like 3 of the next 4 games or the next 5 games or whatever? You know, you gotta keep at it. You know, can the Lions play at that level? Because it looks like, you know, we see them. I mean, that the win against the Ravens was electric. It was electric. You sacked
Lamar Jackson,
Jesus Christ.
7 times.
You sacked him 7 times. You made them look like fools. But now it looks like, I know Lamar Jackson's been hurt. He's got some kind of leg injury or something like that. And the Ravens season's kind of falling apart. But you took it to the Bears. You took it to the Bengals. You took it to the Browns. You know, those are kind of like the scrubs of the league right now. But can you, I mean, that's, you know, can the Lions get back to that where they can compete with like the high level teams? That's something that we got to question ourselves, you know, going forward. I know the Lions were missing some guys. They're missing Terry and Arnold. They're missing a few other pieces. A lot of guys got put in injured reserves. You know, it's kind of one of those things that makes you a little bit nervous. You're losing some guys to IR and you're facing a tough schedule coming up. Maybe Lions fans are going a little bit like, but I still have some good feelings about this team. I mean, you're gonna games like this happen. It's a tall order to go into Arrowhead and win against Patrick Mahomes for any team in the league. Even I know the Chiefs, they're kind of having a down season this year. They're just not now they're 300. They were 2-3, but they're
Yeah,
looks like they're kind of getting back on the swing of things. But
I
go
was
ahead.
gonna say I don't think they're having a down season, and Collinsworth is on there on one knee with most of Mahomes in his mouth, basically saying, "This is by the 15 and whatever season they had, this team's probably going to be even better." And it's
Yeah,
like, okay, we get it. They're a good team, Tom. You're right. They're
yeah,
healthy, right? They have Chris Jones, Travis Kelsey, and Patrick Mahomes.
yeah.
He has options at receivers.
Hmm.
They're built just like us. Very comparable game. There's a reason the stat sheet looked like it. But guess what? Right now, when you take both of our teams and you put us head to head and you give them the home field advantage, they're the better team.
Yeah,
And that's not something that last week I told you was going to be a weird statement or a false statement.
yeah.
That's a true statement right now.
Hmm.
So it's just like you said, it's going to be a road to the end of the season. It's going to be a little different now and a different perspective, but
Yep.
I still think it's the same perspective. This is one of those games where I think you're just going to have to lose a couple games every season.
Yeah.
Everybody does. This is one I'm okay losing to. I don't want to be the fucking Cowboys who lost to the Panthers, right?
Yeah.
They lost to the Panthers, right?
Yeah. I
So
mean,
if we're going to lose, let's lose to Kansas City in prime time with a bunch of goofy penalties where they lined up in the neutral zone and they had to cheat like they always do to win.
yeah.
And St. Brown has a weird drop. Like, let's do that. This isn't a Goff 4 interception and it's all crumbling
Yeah.
down game. So
No.
I don't know.
No, it's
That's
just one
my
of
two
those things.
cents.
This season, I kind of figured at the start of the season it was going to be kind of an emotional roller coaster. It's just going to be one of those things. We might have a couple more losses that are going to sting. Every loss stings to a certain degree, whether you're
Yeah.
losing to whoever. I
Yeah,
think
they
this
do.
team has enough where they can move forward and they can be competitive. I'm not like hitting the panic button or nothing. It's just one of those things. It just is what it is.
Yeah,
That's what I'll categorize this. I'm not
it
freaking
is.
out. I'm not about, it's one of those things. It sucks to lose to the Chiefs. I despise the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes is everything I hate, but um, they're still a good team. I know they said they had kind of a down season, but maybe I probably misspoke a little bit because they're still the Chiefs. They still have one of the
Well,
most dangerous rosters in the league, but
they had a slow start.
yeah,
They
they
just had
did.
a
They
slow
did.
start in a small sample size. And if you want to talk about slow start in a small sample size, 2 weeks ago when we were playing what was it? 2 weeks ago we were playing the Browns.
Yeah.
We're looking at the best defense in the NFL, right?
Yep.
Kevin Stefanski just got fired. He's
Yeah.
gone. The coach is out. So the best defense in the NFL, the coach is out. So this is all just a very small sample size. Now we know what we have in our Lions, and we're very happy with it. But on a small sample size, Kansas City Chiefs are still a better team than us because they've just won 3 Super Bowls. So
Yeah.
until somebody else can do that, they're always going to be better than us.
Yeah.
In the division, I still think and know in my heart we're the best team. We could still currently beat the Packers the way things set.
Yeah.
So we got the Buccaneers at Monday night. I still think that's a game that's where we go out and reset the narrative at home. We know what Goff does at home.
Yes.
He blows the shit. He blows things up. Now, it's going to be a tough one.
Yes.
Like you said, Baker is going to give us a run for our money, but I feel way more confident in that game where it's like, okay, guys, if everybody's on their A's, ABCs and P's and Q's and whatever the fuck you want to call it, that's a game where you win. Same thing, Vikings, we got back-to-back home games. Vikings at home, that's a game that I think we win.
Mm-hmm.
Lions at Commanders, I'm okay with winning that game too.
Yeah.
And then you're right. Here come the Eagles. Now, this is a nice way for what I'm trying to say is if we can pepper in a couple losses to some respectful teams, I'm okay with that because at the
Yeah.
end of the day, on top, we win the division. As long as we win it, we just have to stay healthy and get when we're in the playoffs, Hermdale. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say.
Yeah, exactly. It's just one of those things. You're going to lose games like this. It happens, like I said before, but I still have a good feeling about this Lions team. I still think we can compete with any team in the league for the most part. You figured you're going to take a step back from last year. They really played above their heads last year, at least, in some regards, I felt, but I'm not, it's just, you know, it's it's gonna be okay. It's
Yeah.
not that big of a deal. In the
No.
big scheme of things, I still think we're gonna have a really good season. I still
Yep.
think the division is in sight. I mean, I still think there's a lot of positive developments. I'm not worried about our division. I'm not really worried about the Vikings or the Bears or the Packers, even though the Packers did kind of get under our skin that first game. But
That
I
was
still,
just a different looking game,
yeah,
different
that
looking
was more
team.
fluky than anything. I mean, you want to talk about flukes? Look what Jackson Dart did to the Philadelphia Eagles the other day.
Exactly.
It's just one of those things that happens. Does that mean the Eagles season is over? No. I mean, maybe it means, maybe the Giants are a little bit more respectable under Jackson Dart. I mean, but look what like Cam Scatabo is doing. That guy's all over my Twitter feed, just all 5'2" of him. I mean, the guy is absolutely insane. But
Well, and anytime you're interjecting that new energy
yeah,
into a team, you're going to get that little bit of blurb where no one knows how to prepare for you. So you're going to get away with a lot of that stuff. But dude, give it enough time for Dart and Scatabo to be schemed enough to where teams are going to go, we'll slow you down and make you human. And we see that every week, and that's what the NFL does. And
yeah. Any given Sunday.
any given Sunday, right? I didn't really get to watch a lot of the games. I found myself doing a lot of yard work today. With it being such a primetime game, it was like, I
Yeah.
got to get some stuff done.
Yeah, I had some stuff going around the house. I watched bits and pieces. My dad was watching it. He was kind of just like, he was texting me. I was doing some of the work around the house. He was just like, they're losing tonight. They're losing tonight. They got all these dumb penalties. He gets all into it. And I was kind of popping in and out, watching here and there. But, when the fourth quarter came up, I'm just kind of like, yeah, they just don't got it. I saw that catch by Laporta. That was incredible. I saw that
It was
22-yard dart to Jamison Williams. It's just one of those things. I mean, there's some positive takeaways from this game. I mean,
tons.
but yeah,
A
it's
lot of
just
explosive
a
plays.
lot of
A lot
explosive
of people
plays.
got involved. A lot of big time plays.
Yeah.
The offensive line blocking was phenomenal
Yes.
considering Taylor Decker. And that's another thing that I'd like to say. Taylor Decker coming back healthy, what we saw with just what we've had to deal with
Hmm.
him being gone, I think they've done a really nice job considering
Yeah.
Dan Skipper came back. So
Yep. Happy to see him.
considering where we were last year with just everything with where this was going, I'm okay, right? So look at this. Like you said, you have the Eagles and the Giants.
Hmm.
Who saw that coming? I did. I actually called. Soluski called me or texted me and said, "Hey, here's my picks. What do you think?" I said, "For some reason, I see the Giants beating the Eagles." Okay, but this is the Eagles going to the Meadowlands.
Yeah.
Giants, new energy with Dart and Scatterbo. It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Kansas City's all got this, energy coming home in prime time. No big deal.
Yep.
Broncos, Jets, dude. Broncos beat the Jets. What a
That
joke.
was, didn't
What
they?
a fucking joke.
I was just thinking I was watching that at work, and I'm just thinking, we're trying to grow the game internationally. We want to build up a UK audience. You're giving
Yeah.
him that. You're giving him Justin Fields and Aaron Glenn's. You're getting him the Broncos sackarama. Didn't he get sacked like 9 times or something? It was absolutely a 13-11 game. Are you
Pathetic.
kidding me?
Yeah. You're giving
Jesus.
them you're giving them 13-11.
I mean, can we start asking questions about Aaron Glenn, or do you think it's too early still, or I don't
I
know,
think
man.
it's too early considering the Jets. I think that
Yeah.
team was a nuclear missile before he got there.
Yeah.
And the fact that he disarmed it by getting rid of Aaron Rodgers,
Oh God.
it'll all be now into see this year. This draft will be his draft. Okay, what does
Yeah.
Aaron Glenn do? How much does the ownership give him to build a team? And after that, then it's like, dude, what are you doing there? But
Yeah, I know. Give him some
Seahawks,
time.
Jaguars,
Yeah, that was fun.
20 to 12 Seahawks, Jaguars. You got Chargers, Dolphins 29-27.
You had
So some of these games, man, it's just like
it's exciting.
it's like balancing things around.
Yeah, I saw the Carolina and Cowboys game, and Carolina got the best of them. I was kind of glad to see that.
Right.
It's always fun to see the Cowboys lose one of those things. It was a tight game, but Carolina came out ahead. I like those new uniforms too. I got to say, that looks really slick. But
right.
yeah, it's one of those things. There's lots of good action happening. I mean, this game was maybe, maybe the Lions scored maybe another touchdown. It would have been more exciting, but it's just one of those things. But we're still in the Lions are still in the mix. We're still in the mix. We're still we're still one of the, leading the division and whatnot, but
5 team in the NFL, man. I mean,
yeah,
it's KC, and we talked about this, right? It's KC, it's Buffalo, it's the Lions, it's Philadelphia, and if there's a fifth out there, it's the Buccaneers. There's your
yeah,
top
all
5.
these other
Those are your top
teams.
5 teams.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But you look at some of the losses some of these top teams have had. The Chiefs lost to the Jaguars. Look at that loss. The Patriots beat the Bills. I know Drake May is kind of turning some heads lately, but
He
no one
is.
really
Well,
expected that to happen.
listen, and I don't want to say anything negative to my buddy Wayne and his Buffalo Bills, but the Bills are playing at Atlanta. Atlanta's defense is really good. They're
Yes.
2-2. This is one of those games where can Buffalo go be 4-2 while Atlanta is 3-2? And the same thing where if that happens, the Bills are still a great team. The Bills are
Yeah,
still a Super Bowl team. Josh
absolutely.
Allen is still a god. It's not a big deal, but hey, that's just those kind of balance shifting games where the
Yeah.
NFL gives it to you, where it's not as predictable like the other sports could be, like Major League Baseball.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Super predictable.
Yeah, let's watch the Dodgers win another World Series. No, thank you. God, what a vomitous, disgusting franchise. I despise them.
It is, and it's like I said to you, and I said to everybody else, say goodbye to Tarek Skubal. He's gone. Tarek said he'd say goodbye to Tarek Skubal. He's not going to be a Detroit Tiger for life.
No,
He is a West Coast boy. He cannot wait to be paid by the Dodgers. They have a left arm that is going away.
Yeah. No, it's just you're going to see him in the blue and white. I hate to say it. He's not I mean, he hasn't been talking to he put out a people were speculating there was a thing on Twitter he posted, "Thank you Detroit," he's out the door. He wants to get the hell out. I mean, he's not even talking to the Tigers front office anymore, and I was posted this about, some of the last like 5 performances he had with the division on the line and in the playoffs. He was posting like he's going 6-7 innings into the game, like 1 earned run, 8-9 strikeouts, and of those 5 games, I think the highest strikeout rate he had was 14. Remember that 14 strikeout game he had, and then the Tigers were 1-4 in those games. Those games with some of the best pitching performances since Verlander, easily, maybe even better than Verlander in some regards. He was setting Tigers records.
And to me, that's why I'm not trying to sound mean about this, but yes, let's move on from him.
Yeah.
Because guess what? He's doing really well, and there's another team that could really use him, but that's not working here for us.
No.
Like, I remember, Tom, when you would see, sorry, Herbdo, I don't want to break kayfabe. My bad. Don't punish me. When Verlander pitched, you just knew they were going to win. There wasn't anything to worry about.
Yeah.
He was so fucking dominant.
Well, we
And
actually
Scherzer, 85% you knew he was going to win. As long as he was getting some good run support, you knew he was going to win. So it was like those were 2 games that you looked at every time they played going, we got those games. But with Skubal, it's like, dude, he's going to be fucking historically dominant, but we're not going to win.
We're not going to win. Yeah, I
know it.
You can't. I mean, granted, back then we had Miguel Cabrera and Prince Fielder and Victor Martinez and JD Martinez. We had an explosive offense back then.
But the velocity that man's ball.
Yeah.
Other
like
teams just didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Right.
That's true. But I mean, the way the Tigers are constituted now, they need a massive they got to start spending some cash. And if you don't want to pay Skubal,
we need a Vlad Guerrero.
Yeah, we need something like that. But we need somebody who can actually show up in the big spots. And somebody who can actually give some run support and be a leader, be a true guy to put in that 3 slot or something, be a real true cleanup hitter, and be able to hit some fastballs and shit. But just one of those things. We need a big investment in offense. That's what we need. We need some bats to bring around. And these farmhand guys, all the guys who came up through the drafting system, some of Al Avila's guys, they worked out. I love Riley Green. I love Spencer Torkelson. I love Kerry Carpenter. And Kerry Carpenter did show up in Game 5. He was the only Tiger that did. Colt
4
Keith
for 5.
sure didn't.
Nope.
Yeah. Javier Baez even showed up a little bit. He's been electric in the postseason. It's incredible. I mean, 3 years and nothing, and then he has an all-star caliber season. Yeah, he's had some bouts with, a few weeks for him just not like he's going like 1 for 28 or something, but still, I mean, Javier Baez, I mean, he's actually living up to that contract for once in the last 3 years we've had him. But yeah, but besides some of the, I mean, but yeah, when Torkelson and Green aren't hitting, this thing just goes off the rails. You know, when McKinstry is not hitting, when Colt Keith, you can't rely on him, and all the other guys. It's just like these guys are good dynamic players, and they have brought us like some success. I'm never gonna poo poo a Tigers postseason berth, but with a game
No,
5, it's all on the
nor should
line.
you.
And it's just like they lost in. Some people say it was an amazing game. It's an amazing game. My dad's a boomer. He's all talking about how amazing the game was, and I'm just like, they left 10 men on base. They
There's
pulled out
nothing
Scooble too
amazing
early.
about that.
Yeah, they didn't have Tyler Holton out there to face a lefty. It was just a big mess. Just some real weird management from AJ Hinch. He's really left me scratching my head lately. But it's one of those games, and you can't rely on Tommy Kahnle. You put him in pretty much to say goodbye to the game. But it was crazy seeing Jack Flaherty out there in the 13th. He was shutting him down. He was like talking to himself on the mound, like Mark the Bird Fidrich or something. It was kind of fun to see. But a 5 hours of that, just it was excruciating. It was absolutely excruciating. You just saw the Tigers just fail comprehensively. And now the season's over. And, I mentioned it. I don't know if I'm not happy the Tigers lost, but, after this last month of Tigers baseball, I'm just kind of glad I don't have to cover this team anymore. It's barring some crazy offseason news. Maybe if we go out and get Alex Bregman or something, a lot of people are
I'll bet
saying,
any money on it we don't.
probably not. I don't know. Maybe we do. Do we even want him? He's on the wrong side of 30. He'd definitely be an upgrade at third base. He has,
Does
he
he
still has some
want to
pop in
be
his
here
bat.
though?
I think he does a little bit. He did
You do?
maybe a little bit. I don't know.
I don't
It's
get
hard
that
with him.
feeling. I
You
really
don't get
don't.
that feeling from him? Well, that's
No.
understandable. I think he might want to come here. He might not have a problem with. I know we're going to get some. I mean, we were going to be worried about resigning other guys like his Gleyber Torres is going to come back. Do we want him back? What about Kyle Finnegan? Is he going to stick around? He was excellent in relief. Granted, he had a couple bad moments. He was letting runs across the plate and shit. But yeah,
I'm cool with Glaber. I just think for the right money, and I think he wants to get paid, so I
I
think
think he
he
wants
goes
to.
somewhere
Yeah,
else.
I think he wants to be here, but he might. I don't want to set anything in stone right now. I mean, the wounds are still open. It's still. I mean, the season hasn't even been. I feel like we just put the coffin in the ground, and the ground is still being filled. We're still and getting into this off-season stuff. I don't know. I mean, we talked about some of the possible postseason, off-season additions. We can get into that later. Right now, let's just root for the Dodgers to lose. But yeah, just going
That's the
forward,
best way.
yeah,
That's the best thing I've ever
let's
heard.
just
Let's
root.
root
I
for the
mean, we got to
Dodgers to
see,
lose.
yeah, we got to see the Yankees lose, which is good. We got to see, one thing that's entertaining, looking at the Mets, another $300 million
Yes.
boondoggle.
Yes.
You bring in Juan Soto, and yeah, he was good for you guys. Don't get me wrong, but they slapped around the Tigers that one series. That was pretty pathetic. But your whole $300 million experiment fails again. Your World Series aspirations fail again. They brought in Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer that one year, and it didn't get them anywhere. I think the Mets just one of those teams. I mean, it's a mess. Thank God we're not the Mets. I'll
You
just
know
say
what's
that.
funny? Yeah, I was gonna say, and I'm sitting over here. I made fun of a guy who's born in Michigan who is an Atlanta Braves fan, and I said, "Have fun with your." Well, basically, I said made a joke about your bloated payroll for never winning, and he's like, "Oh, we have no payroll." I'm like, "You're top fucking 7 in payroll. What are you kidding me? You have $214 million
Yeah,
in 2025." So
yeah,
you have the Mets, the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Phillies, the Blue Jays, the Rangers, the Astros, the Braves, the Padres, and the Cubs. And
yeah,
I'm okay with us being in the position we're in because we're not on that list.
yeah.
Cool.
That's true. That's true. But if you want to win, they were talking about this on Valenti a little while ago. But Tigers, like they're 18th in payroll right now. They're almost bottom 10 in payroll. I don't know what the exact number is off the top of my head. I think it's less than 150 million. I'm not sure. But after that Cabrera money comes off, a 20th, yeah, a big a big chunk is still dedicated to Javier Baez. You're still paying him 26 million. I don't know what the next 2 years of him is going to look like, but yeah, I
Yeah,
mean the Tigers.
there's a lot of money that comes off the books. You're right.
I think there is a lot of money that comes off the books, but I don't know if the Tigers. I think you need to spend. I don't think you need to spend $300 million. but you probably should be a top 10 payroll team because the last team that was like a bottom 10 payroll team to win, I think it was the 97 Marlins, if I'm not mistaken, but every other team has had like a top 5, top 10 payroll, but it's just I don't know if that's still going to be the case. And if they start, I've been hearing some rumblings about like a salary cap getting instituted and there being a lockout for maybe a year or so, like it did with the
Whatever.
NHL. I don't know about that. I've heard some rumblings about that, but I don't know. But like moreover on the Tigers, I think but can this roster, what did the Tigers need to add? They need to add some rotational guys, Well, but granted, I mean, once you get Reese Olson and Jackson Jobe back, maybe everything will work out. I mean, losing Terry Skubal, I mean, I'm just gonna with the assumption he's gone.
You should. He's gone.
Yeah, but yeah, it's gonna be like that. It's like when Max Scherzer left. I mean, they offered him a low ball. He just said "fuck you" and went to Washington to actually win something. But yeah, I
Different
mean,
teams, though.
yeah, that's true. That's true. But hard to believe that the Washington Nationals won a National World Series only like 6 years ago. But anyways, well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think the Tigers don't have to spend too much. Still, I still trust AJ Hinch. I still trust Scott Harris for the most part. I think for the most, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. I'm trying to like
Now's not the
justify
time.
this
Now's
shit.
not the time to word that. Yeah, as I say, don't use the T word of trust.
Yeah.
But we did have someone jump into the chat,
Okay.
Hermdo,
Brandon
who
Holland.
claims this. Yeah, he claims that games are rigged. I mean, dude,
Oh,
do you want to get me started on what's rigged in sports and what's
yeah.
not rigged in sports? Because
the people were saying, there was some controversy. I know he's probably talking about the Lions game, but there was some controversy in this last Tigers game, Game 5, where apparently I don't remember who was batting, but it was a Mariners batter. He showed bunt, and the ball bounced off his bat, but he acted like he got hit by the pitch. He was granted first base. A lot of Tigers fans were up in arms about that.
Travis Kelce today with the ball absolutely touching the ground and allowing him to complete the catch.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I agree with you. It's rigged in the sense of it's manipulated when it needs to be.
Yeah.
Because there's ways to. So that's clearly a way where they can go, what's better for the situation right now?
But I'll say,
right? So it is. But to my point is, Amon-Ra St. Brown, you don't drop that ball.
No.
Then you don't let these gatekeepers in the NFL.
You don't let
them hit them switches.
I was never a big fan of blaming the officials. If the Tigers, I know that was bad. I mean, Tigers we've seen the Tigers and the Lions can get jobbed a lot. But my solution to that is you just score more goddamn points. Just score more goddamn points. That's the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, you can do this conspiracy shit. You can sound like Alex Jones talking about phantom penalties or whatever. At the end of the day, you just got to score more points. We've seen countless Lions loss after countless Lions loss. Some against Green Bay. I remember it was a game against Green Bay. This is probably over a decade ago now. I think it was during the Jim Schwartz era, maybe, or maybe the Jim Caldwell era, but like they lost a game against the Packers and it was a pretty clear like phantom penalty against Detroit, but they had that somebody bought a billboard. I think it was on 696 or 96, but it was the ref wearing a cheese head. Remember that? That's how
I do.
Detroit sports fans, this victim complex shit. I'm
so petty.
It's petty. It's funny. It's funny. I'll give them that.
I like it though.
But it's so fucking petty. And the Lions fans got this victim complex. I'm sorry, man. But odd that a team can get 3 flags on Monday and 0 on Sunday. Yeah,
we
I was going to bring that up.
This.
Yeah,
we talked about this because the few flags that we did get called against us were kind of like, okay, nothing gets called on them. You get to call what you want to call on us just at the right time. They weren't meaningful penalties as far as yardage.
Yeah.
It's just how happened to be at that certain time.
Yeah, they're momentum killers. They were momentum killers.
That's it. But again, we got to go back to it and say, listen, when you go to Kansas City, right, in prime time, especially early on in the season when they need a win.
Yeah.
Dude, you gotta have everything going, right, dude?
Yeah.
It's just like going into a fucking mob ran casino in the 60s and you owe them money, dude. You better be on your A game.
Yeah.
Or you're gonna get whacked. They're gonna pull out all their fucking tricks.
Yep, definitely.
And they did.
Yeah, they sure did.
But you wouldn't catch them pulling that shit in Detroit because it wouldn't be that type of game. So
no.
Damn.
Yeah, Detroit is not the darling of the NFL. Maybe they were
No,
for a little bit, but not anymore.
no, it
Lions.
was a cute
It
story
doesn't.
last year.
It was a cute story last year, but it's one of those things. The Lions are just going to be one of those teams. They get jobbed, and it sucks.
Yeah.
But you got to be able to rise above that shit.
Yep.
And the Lions have been doing so good in prime time. Dan Campbell is like a miracle worker in prime time. He's been lights out. But just one of those games. It's a big game on a Sunday night. You let one get away from you. It's one of those things. But
And Hermdo, like you said it, for us guys in our era, it was just like going to Foxborough on prime time with Brady and Belichick.
yeah,
It's like, oh shit, here we go. They're not going to lose.
you
And it
know,
didn't matter who you sent in there. It could be Peyton Manning and the Colts. Everything was going to be tipped to the Patriots.
yeah, exactly. The only Lions coach that was able to beat the Patriots was Matt Patricia. Remember that game?
Uh, yeah, what kind of Patriots are we talking about? Was Tom Brady the quarterback?
Yuck. Yeah, that was back in the day. That was back 2018. That was a terrible year. Oh God, there's so many Lions. Whenever I see the Lions lose, there's so many memories that come floating back. The Lions don't lose too much anymore these days, but
No.
ugh.
No,
But
and those are different times and those are different days.
Maybe, yeah. Hopefully, we're past those days now. But so I don't know if you did you follow the Michigan game at all? I know Michigan State got their asses beat. Jonathan Smith is 8-10 as Michigan State head coach. They lost to a 1-win UCLA team. It was pretty grisly.
I was going to say he's going to be out of town. I watched the Michigan game and I thought to myself, okay, this is another one. Anytime a Big Ten opponent goes out and plays on the West Coast, they lose. Doesn't really matter what the situation was. So I thought that was going to be a really fun moment for me to see Bryce Underwood out there. And I thought he looked great for what I expected out of him.
Yeah.
Michigan defense is still pretty nasty, but USC seemed to have found a nice situation with Lincoln Riley. He's found his group of quarterbacks. This isn't our year to be a dominant bully on the road, but this is definitely our year to win big matchups at home with our defense.
I think so.
So this is still a year where I think we can beat Ohio State at home, not in the horseshoe, but at home.
Yeah.
If our defense is playing like Scud missiles, I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
But Justice Hayes still looks really cool. I'm hoping we don't really waste him. But I watched a little bit of that game. I kind of knew it was going to end the way it did.
Yeah. I watched a little bit of both games. Yeah, it's just one of those things, I figured I had Michigan penciled in as like a maybe 8-win team this year. It's just looking like it's probably going to wind up that way. I just want to see Bryce get more development, more playing time under his belt.
He's so young, but he looks so good young for what he is. Yeah. He looks good.
I have pairs of pants older than Bryce Underwood, so I'm not freaking out. It's one of those things when he gets more development. That's the only thing I'm, worried about. Sharon Moore, we can have that discussion. How is this guy going to be here for the long term? Should we do it?
Stuff is older than Bryce Underwood.
Yeah, which is one of those things. But how about Penn State firing James Franklin after 11 years?
That was kind of surprising. I feel like Keegan Michael Anthony Key or whatever.
Keegan Michael Key.
Yeah, the
one name I remember.
Yeah, in not to sound mean, and I did think Key and Peele was funny, but
yes,
he just seems like, can he stop telling everybody he's from Detroit? Like he's really fucking annoying. Say you're from Grand Rapids, but just don't say you're from Detroit.
I know, we don't need you.
Yeah, we don't need you. You're like the people from Detroit are cool and like funny, and Detroiters not like these like he's just a theater kid.
He's a tryhard, yeah. But
such a tryhard.
I mean,
but no, anyways, he's gone out of Penn State.
Yeah.
I'm really actually curious to see who takes that job, because that's not a job that you just give to anybody and you just pass around. So I thought for sure, though, Mike McDaniels would be the first head coach fired in the NFL, and it was Stefanski.
Yeah.
And I think he's okay with it. I don't think he wants to be the Browns head coach. I'm sure he's okay with it.
Oh, I bet he's going.
I actually think he's a decent coach.
Yeah.
I really think he's a decent coach.
Yeah.
So look for him to get a nice fresh start somewhere else, or back to coordinator status.
Probably. But
and look for Jim Schwartz to take over this Browns coaching job. He's a Browns coach.
You never know. But Yeah, just more on Penn State. When you have three losses, three straight Big Ten losses like that, three upset losses, and
Yeah.
that brutal loss to UCLA, and they just lost again. Who'd they lose to? Was it Illinois? Not Illinois. I'm gonna look it up real quick just so I don't sound like too much of an asshole. Typing on my
Something
computer.
tells me the recruiting fell into the tank.
Yeah, that's gonna be the thing with James Franklin gone. What do we? Yeah, another loss to Northwestern. Ooh, Northwestern. Ew. This was the
Yeah, you
number
can't
two.
do that.
This was the number 2 ranked team in the league in college football, and now your coach is gone with a $50 million buyout. They gave James Franklin $50 million and gave him the boot. If I'm
Good
James
for
Franklin,
him.
good for him. Good for him. I don't think he. I mean, I think he was a good coach, but I mean, against like big games, he was just
He was a good coach. He's not great, and
no.
that's what
He
you have to
wasn't.
be when you're at
Yeah,
one of those big
he
schools.
wasn't a next level guy. And Penn State, the Penn State, in some ways they kind of remind me of like Michigan a little bit. I mean, just one. I mean, before the Harbaugh era, maybe the Carr era or something like that. Like maybe the late in the Carr era, where they just couldn't really win those big games anymore.
Yeah,
James Franklin.
big
It's the Penn
names,
State's.
big recruits, not
Yeah,
big results.
big names, big recruits. Michigan could recruit. But they got a lot of talent. And Penn State, obviously, a lot of guys, came out of that program. Penn State's still an extremely respectable program, but they just
Yep.
couldn't win the big games. It was just like
Nope.
guaranteed losses against Michigan and Ohio State every single year. And the loss against Oregon, it's one of those things, kind of like you kind of. I mean, it's Oregon for God's sake, but Oregon just lost to Indiana, another Big Ten powerhouse apparently. But yeah, it's
Well, this is the transfer portal, dude, and this
yeah,
is NIL. So
yeah,
as long as you can pay enough money to have a quarterback come play at your school,
yep,
but this is what's going to be good, though. This is what you're going to be able to level set now. So all these schools can spend money. All these
yep,
schools can go out and get themselves a quarterback. That's what you need, right? Portnoy was the reason why we got fucking Underwood.
yep,
And you look at that and they say, okay, well, every school is going out there and doing the same thing. Give me a big donor, give me a big checkbook and say, hey, do you want to go? Do all of you want to go to Alabama and OSU and be first, second, third string, and then maybe transfer to LSU or have your
yeah,
moment the Georgia for one season, like and get paid under the table? Or do you just want to get paid? Do you want to come here? Let's start a
yeah,
program. It's just like the NFL. Go out and get yourself a quarterback, young, pay him a ton of money, build it around him, and recruit around him. And what do you think's going to happen? You're going to see teams like how we have it now with these playoffs where there's just all these different schools in it, and it's not just Georgia, LSU, Alabama.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
they're all
It's all
undefeated.
SEC bullshit.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like, dude, who gives a shit
I know. This
anymore?
is the same boring pay for play shit. Now the field's open. You're seeing like I mean, Indiana's a surprising story. What Kurt Signetti is doing there is nothing short of miraculous. But he's actually got some money behind him.
Well, that's the thing. It's if you got money behind you, dude, and you're the right guy, then good luck, good at it,
Yeah.
right?
Even that playing field, baby. That's what I want to see. I want to see more Big
Yes.
Ten national championships. I want to see more of that
Yes.
stuff. Absolutely.
Yes, it
Enough with
doesn't
the SEC.
have to just be Michigan and Ohio State. I
Yeah.
really they could take a break from both of those teams. Dude, that's why I'm saying let Michigan State come back. I want Michigan State to go out and get a respectable head coach
Yep.
and go out and get a quarterback because what you guys have had since, and I'm not saying you, but them as the program, what
Yeah.
they've had since D'Antonio's left is a joke.
Yeah.
You had a powerhouse. You built a powerhouse, and he left.
Your top 5 finishes, top 5 defenses, slapping around
His
Michigan
linemen
like a redheaded
were
stepchild.
nasty.
Those were
Yes,
disgusting times.
he was
He
such a good
punished
coach.
U of M, man. It was
Yes,
pathetic. And he slapped around
yes,
Harbaugh a little bit too. But
he did. He
the way he ended his career was pretty pathetic, not firing anybody after 2016. I mean, Mike
yeah,
Folletti talks about it to this day, but
yes,
we saw, I
yes,
mean, because Michigan State was a scary program for a while. And,
was.
they still have some cachet. I know we hate the Spartans, but I can respect them enough, but where do they go from here? That's the thing. We ask some questions about this. I mean, are they going to go crazy? Are they going to bring in Urban Meyer or something? There's a lot of MSU slaps online talking about that, but You know, it's just
They'll
one of
never
those.
do that.
No, I know that. It's just fun to talk about.
MSU boosters are too weak to
Yeah.
do that. They don't want to win bad enough to bring in Urban Meyer, and that's the thing. They don't want to win at football bad enough to
Yeah.
bring in any badasses.
Could you imagine Urban Meyer?
Screw it. We could do probably a month on just Urban Meyer at
Yeah,
MSU.
you gotta love the guy. You know he's
Oh,
an
dude,
old,
he's
crusty old
nuts.
pervert, but that's okay.
Oh, I know. It's like, what are you gonna get when you got the Ultimate Warrior? You're gonna get the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, exactly.
It's weird, but you're gonna get it. That's what you get with Urban Meyer.
Yes.
So I don't think MSU wants another crusty old pervert. I don't think they want any bullies. I think that for them, they're gonna try and look for young youth. I think they really shit the bed with this dude. Every time I see what's his name, John Smith or whatever, Jonathan Smith, like you, he just looks. He looks like the carpenter or that like stumbled up on stage and he's like lost and he's like, wait, what's going on? There's a press conference. Like he looks like he's part of the maintenance team. He just doesn't look
scared.
the part of a coach.
He looks
so
like
afraid.
a terrified little boy, you know, and
he's
he's
so afraid.
Yeah, he was, you know, he was with Oregon State for a while. You know, he won he had some good stops along the way, but you know,
Here it is, Tom. This is what they're going to do.
Go ahead.
Matt Patricia's going to leave Ohio State as a defensive coordinator and come to Michigan State. He will be the head coach of Michigan State. I will love it. Oh, I will love it. I will just drive up to East Lansing every day at practice.
Imagine his green and white poncho covering his. Actually, he's skinny now, but I mean, but he still got that pencil and the laminate and all that shit.
He'd find a reason to ride a fucking four-wheeler at practice.
God, that Patricia and OSU is so incredible. I still can't believe that's happening, but
I know. And there's somebody on TikTok that was like, "Oh, he's doing so good for us at OSU." I'm like, have him. Take him forever. Just please tell him he's not welcome back up here. But go ahead, guys. You can have Matt Patricia all you want.
Yeah. God.
If you think that's what's doing it to you, you just have a workhorse of recruiting at Ohio State.
Yeah. Ryan Day needs all the help he can get.
He does. Well, hey, listen, dude.
Yeah.
It's about an hour. I got to work in the morning.
I dig it.
Hey, I appreciate you coming on here after this loss. It wasn't as emotional as I thought it was going to be.
Nah, it's just whatever.
You know, and I'll tell you what, I didn't think it was going to be. I thought this was going to be one of those L's. And it's what it was. So it is what it is. We're going to get better. We know our team. They're going to make adjustments.
Yep.
The guys, I don't have to say it anymore. We know we're going to come out swinging against the Bucks. You got anything to say before I sign off?
No. Wings, you know, I maybe bring up Wings real quick, but that first game was absolutely god awful. John Gibson,
atrocious.
five goals on 13 shots, getting pulled early. The only goal coming from Dylan Larkin. And then you got game 2, the second game of the season against Toronto Maple Leafs, you know, a dangerous team out there in Toronto. We went in there and slapped them around. I think it was at Little Caesars, but still we slapped them around. You know, Steve Dangle talking his shit. Hey, suck it, Steve. Do you hear that from Hermdo?
Yeah, suck it, Steve.
Suck it. 6-3. All the young guys are scoring. We got one from Andrew Kopp too. Lucas Raymond out there showing them how it's done. Marco Casper, Simone Edvinson. Real solid game. They got down 2 after the first period, but they really cleaned up the fundamentals in the first game. It was sloppy, bad passing, bad forecheck, a lot of odd man rushes. One of those things, but they cleaned it up for game 2. They looked a hell of a lot better. And all 9 of the draft picks on the roster looked good. Alex DeBrincat, you know, the free agent signing one of Steve Eisman's, you know, actually good free agent moves, had 3 assists. You know, they really looked good. Maybe the season won't be as long as I thought, but I think it's going to be, we're still going to get streaky Wings, baby. We're still going to get a lot of streakiness from the Wings. I'll put like a actual official video together for you when I get some time. My work schedule is nutty right now, but we'll get some Wings talk going as the season goes on. I think that it's going to be a streaky kind of season. They're going to lose a few, win a few, lose a few, win a few. Hopefully they can keep it together late in the season in February and March, because that's where they've been falling apart. I want to see what a full season of Todd McClellan looks like. Can he drag this team kicking and screaming back into the playoffs? I think he can, but more on that later. But yeah, we got that going on. Pistons preseason's happening. I know we barely talk Pistons at all, but I want to start doing a little bit more Pistons content, you know. I mean, Cade Cunningham's too good of a player to not talk about, so we'll get more into that. But yeah, it's just standard. It's just the Lions loss. It's just what it's Lions loss against a top 5 team at home in prime time. Not the end of the world. Not to be unexpected, but it's one of those things. Tigers. We'll see. Really disappointing into the season. One of those games. It was absolute torture. I saw people joking around about it. Some Yankees fan was like, "That watching a game with no rooting interest, where both teams' fan bases are going through hell." And he's like frolicking through a field. He posted some GIF or something. It's just like fucking Yankees. I'm so glad they lost to the Blue Jays. I'm so fucking sick of the Yankees. Everybody from New York needs to go to hell. But anyways, that's all I got. That's all I wanted to say. But thanks for having me on. Sorry about the audio issues. Hopefully we can get it fixed next time, and I'm not bumbling around like an idiot for the first 20 minutes of the show.
It wasn't any of your audio issues. I had my headphones muted, so I couldn't hear you. It was totally my fault. So all me, not you.
Now you tell me, you son of a bitch.
All me. I'm like, God damn it, let me hit this. I can hear him now.
Oh, Lord.
So
we have fun.
We do. So thanks for hopping on.
Absolutely.
And yeah, we will be chatting tomorrow. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.
I thought you said I was all right, Spider.
No, you ain't all right, Spider. You got a lot of fucking problems.
No, I thought you said you were all right.